This is Free Speech Radio News for Wednesday, April 27, 2005. From KPFK in LA, I'm Aura Bogado. On Capitol Hill, Senate Democrats say they will not be able to stop the Real ID Act. Condoleezza Rice makes her way through Latin America. We'll take a look at her agenda. And as the National Summit on Gang Violence wraps up, we'll hear about how one community is crafting solutions. These stories and more after these headlines.
I'm Nell Abram with the headlines for Free Speech Radio News. Republican leaders offered today to roll back new ethics rules introduced earlier this year. Party members are expected to take up the measure as early as this afternoon. Daniel Opper reports from Washington, D.C.
After a closed-door meeting with high-ranking members of the GOP, Republican House Speaker Dennis Hastert said he's ready to step back from the controversial new ethics rules. He says he expects the full House to vote on reversing these rules later today. The new rules made it easier to dismiss allegations of impropriety by lawmakers. The ethics rules were changed earlier this year. Republican leaders say the changes were made as an attempt to protect the rights of lawmakers, but Democrats argue the changes forced through by a Republican majority were designed to shelter Tom DeLay. The powerful Republican from Texas was admonished by the Ethics Committee 3 times last year and faces new trouble over lobby-sponsored flight tickets these days. So far, it is uncertain whether Hastert's concessions will satisfy Democrats. Representative Alan Malone of West Virginia, the senior Democrat on the Ethics Committee, said Hastert's proposal will be considered and evaluated by the bipartisan yardstick. For Free Speech Radio News, I'm Daniel Opper.
Violent protests continue in the West African state of Togo following the declaration of the son of the late Togolese dictator as the winner of last weekend's presidential elections. Sam Olokoya reports from Lagos.
Reports from the Togolese capital, Lomé, say 11 people have died and about 100 others were injured in violence that broke out in different parts of the city. Thick smoke covered several parts of the Togolese capital as opposition supporters set up burning barricades to protest the election of Faure Gnassingbe as Togo's president. The opposition says last week's presidential election was rigged in favor of Gnassingbe, whose father ruled Togo for almost 40 years before he died 2 months ago. After his father's death, Togo's military installed Gnassingbe as president, but had to back down after international pressure and local protest. Opposition leaders have called on the people to resist Gnassingbe's victory. But the West African Regional Group, ECOWAS, says the election was free and fair. Nigeria, the regional power, is making effort to douse the crisis. Nigeria's President Olusegun Obasanjo has asked Togolese political leaders to form a government of national unity, which will consist of the winner and loser of the presidential election. It is, however, unclear if this will end the political crisis. For Free Speech Radio News, this is Sam Olukoya in Lagos.
The former Prime Minister of Nepal, Sher Bahadur Deuba, has been arrested in Kathmandu after refusing to appear before an anti-corruption panel. Mr. Deuba was removed from office in February when King Gyanendra seized control of the government. Deuba's wife said 5 truckloads of police arrested the former prime minister at his home in the early morning hours today after cutting telephone and power lines to his residence. Also today, 5 opposition leaders from the Nepali Congress and the main Communist Party, including 4 former cabinet members, were arrested. Neither Deuba nor the politicians have been charged, but police have been empowered to break up meetings and to arrest without warrant those who oppose or speak against the king or royal government. More than 3,000 people in Nepal have been detained for opposing the king or his government since he took power. Mexicans living in the United States may be able to vote in their country's upcoming presidential elections, but some analysts and migrants are questioning the security and transparency.